Hello and welcome to a special Christmas Facebook Live. And I'm really excited because it's been quite a bad year. It hasn't been the best of years for all of us. But thanks to Monica and Lynn, my two favorite teachers, they've been helping you improve your English during the year. So if you're watching the replay, and for those of you joining us now on Facebook Live, hello and welcome. My name's Craig. I'm from mansioningles.com. And also we have a podcast at inglespodcast.com. And with me today, both of the wonderful teachers. Let's go to Lynn first. Hello, Lynn.
Hi, Craig. Hi, Monica. Hi, I'm Lynn. And every second week, I come on this show and we try to teach English together with Craig. And my online company is called putitlikethis.com. And if you're interested in having classes outside this forum, then that's the place to go. And I specialize in making tailor-made courses to help you speak the kind of English that you would like to speak in the occasions that you'd like to do it. And we Monica and I rotate, so we're 1 week me and 1 week Monica, and today I'm really excited because now I get to teach with Monica too.
And here's Monica. Hi, Monica.
Hi, nice to see you again. And it's the first time I'm together with Lynn, like Lynn said. So as you might know, my name is Monica because it was mentioned 2 times at least. And I'm from Blog del Inglés and Blog para Aprender Inglés. These are 2 blogs that I try to update almost every week. You can find a lot of material. And also we have 2 English academies, one for companies that is called Apprentias, and the other one is EPI, that is the acronym of El Blog para Aprender Inglés. And we teach English over Skype or Zoom or any other platform. So that's it. And today I'm very excited because, look, once I wear these antlers, these cuernos, I am like, I feel like magic, like the Christmas spirit is here because I'm going to be joining these 2 wonderful British teachers.
And you have Christmas decorations behind you.
I have a Christmas decoration behind. And as also Lynn has...
I decorated the office because I didn't have the clothes, but I put my red Christmas jumper on. So,
and also Craig is wearing his hat and he has some crackers ready.
I've got some crackers for later. We'll explain what crackers are probably at the end of the session. But what are we speaking about today, Lynn? Because I think you're going to tell us a little story connected to Christmas ghosts.
That's
and
right.
how we can connect them to verb tenses. Yeah.
Okay. Well, a ghost, I hope you all know what a ghost is. A ghost is a phantom. You know, they're usually with white capes on, and they come from... Are they dead? Yes, they're usually the dead people who come back. They come back to haunt us. You've probably had ghost stories before. Usually that comes out at Halloween, actually, ghosts. Mm-hmm. But I thought for today's show, because it's Christmas, then we thought we would pick the theme from a really famous book written by a really famous British author. Maybe some of you have heard of Charles Dickens, and one of his favorite most famous Christmas stories is called A Christmas Carol. Now, in this Christmas Carol, we're not going to talk a lot about the story, but basically in the Christmas Carol, there is a main character and he's called Scrooge, and he's a very mean old man and he's very grumpy and not very nice. And during the course of the book, he gets visited by 3 ghosts: the ghost of Christmas past, the ghost of Christmas present, and the ghost of Christmas yet to come. And these ghosts teach this old, horrible, grumpy Scrooge man lessons about his life. And at the end of the book, he becomes a much nicer person, a person who's a good person, who does lots of good in the world. And this is the Christmas spirit. So for today's class, we thought we would talk about Christmases from our pasts, Christmases from our presents, and Christmases that we hope to have in the future. And we hope that we will make you happy and better people, and that we will become better people too, just like Scrooge in Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol. So we'll see.
Okay, great. So that's the idea for today. We're going to each tell you 3 anecdotes using various verb tenses, and we'll show you that in a second. I just want to welcome people who have joined us live today and are watching at the moment. Hi to Juan Carlos, and Gemma's here. Thank you for joining us again, Gemma. Adriana's here. Hello. Rocio from Argentina, all the way from Argentina, where it's probably about 12 midday over there. Yaber's back. Hello, Yaber. Fabiana. Diana Norma from Mexico is with us. Valentin Rafa, who says, "Oh, handsome." That must be me, because ladies are beautiful and men are handsome. So thank you, Rafa. Claudia, Valentin, and Vicente. So it's lovely to see all of you. And Rubgio, I think that's how you pronounce your name, Rubgio, from Mexico, and Angela Isabel. So those are the people watching at the moment. So I'm going to let Monica start. Our first anecdote that we're going to tell you is connected to, as Lynn said, the Ghost of Christmas Past. So we want you to listen to our past verb tenses. And at the end of the session, you'll have the opportunity to also tell your anecdote if you want to come in and join us. So the Ghost of Christmas Past, when we speak about the past and tell stories, we often use used to for habits and actions that we used in the past, would for actions only, not for states. So I can say I used to have Christmas in London, I used to get presents, but I cannot say I would live in London, because live is a state, it's not an action. So we can use used to and would to talk about the past, but we only use would with actions that were in the past. Obviously, past simple, past continuous, and past perfect. So listen to us telling our anecdotes and try to identify as we use these tenses in the past. So, Monica, tell us your anecdote.
Yes, I want to tell my anecdote, but not the anecdote I told you too, because before we started the show, I told one anecdote, but I'm going to tell a new one to give you a surprise. So, 25 years ago, that's a long time ago, I got married in Christmas.
Oh, congratulations.
On Christmas Day?
Anniversary.
On Christmas Day? No, it's 22 days later. But guess what? We went to Israel.
Wow.
And in Israel, we got married in Israel, in Jerusalem. Jerusalem is divided in different cities, and one part is Christian. So we celebrate Christmas. But the rest of the cities in Tel Aviv, in Israel, they don't celebrate Christmas. So that was my first Christmas that I saw that in parts of the world, they don't celebrate Christmas, because I thought that Christmas was everywhere. So it was the first time in my life.
Mm-hmm.
So that's it. That's the anecdote. So I'm going to, this year is 25 years ago. I don't know if this bronze, something like that.
Silver. It's silver.
Silver? Oh, I thought I was younger. Silver. That sounds
silver wedding.
Silver wedding, yeah.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so 25 years ago. That's a long time. So it's past tense. I went all these verb tenses in the past.
Uh-huh. Have you been back to Israel since then?
No. I went 2 times, and the year was 96 and 97, something like that. And then I never came back.
And was there a special reason why you decided to get married?
Yeah, because my father was working there, and so he celebrated. We decided to celebrate, and we invited some friends to come over, and it was summer, really, because the weather there was warm. So it was completely, it was so strange, because it was nothing to do with what you're used to. No Christmas carols, nothing. And we only in Jerusalem, in a very small part of the city, but the rest, no, there's no Christmas. So
Yeah,
that's my
beautiful.
anecdote. Okay, and
Some more people have joined us. Hi, Jessica from Panama, and Pablo from Chile, and Andrea really likes your horns. Monica, she said the Christmas spirit with your horns is very nice.
antlers. I read antlers is for deers. No, deers are called
That's
antlers.
Right.
They have a special name because it's in Spanish it's cuernos. Yeah, it's true. In Spanish it's cuernos or astas. But in English they have a special name. Okay. So
Okay, shall I go next, or would you like to go next?
Go ahead.
Okay, well, my anecdote's quite simple. Obviously, I grew up in London. I used to live in London. And our family Christmas, I have a sister. So our family Christmas was myself, my sister, and my parents. And we used to get Christmas presents on Christmas morning, wrapped up, the phrasal verb to wrap. That's not rap the music, R-A-P, that's W-R-A-P, to wrap presents. So my presents were wrapped in different piles in the living room. So there was a pile of presents for my sister, a pile of presents for me, a pile of presents for my mum, for my dad. And when my grandmother was living with us, she had her pile of presents. So everyone went downstairs to open their presents. However, one thing I really loved about Christmas was that my parents would wrap up one small present for me and one small present for my sister. And during the night, they would leave this present at the bottom of our bed. So in the morning when we woke up, very excited about Christmas, we had a present on the bed that we could open on Christmas morning before we went downstairs. And for years I thought, oh, that's so nice of my parents to be so kind and so thoughtful. What a wonderful thing to do for their children. But after they said, well, we used to do it so that you wouldn't come into the bedroom and wake us up early at 6 o'clock in the morning to open your present. So this one present would keep us busy for an hour or two in our bedrooms, and then my parents could sleep for a long time. So if you are watching this and you do have children and you have a similar arrangement on Christmas morning, leave one present during the night in the room of your children so that they can occupy themselves on Christmas morning. And then, although in Spain, Monica, do people open presents in the morning or after lunch? When do you usually open
in the
presents?
morning. It's in the morning also for
in the morning.
You know that here we have the three kings.
Yes.
Now the thing of the Christmas has become more popular, so people give presents in Christmas and three kings. So and for little children, it's always in the morning. So it's like you go and leave the food for the camels, for the camels and the three kings, the water and something to eat. But now it's a little bit confused with Santa Claus, no? Because you also have to do things for Santa Claus. And actually, I'm not the best person to speak about this. Maybe our audience, some Spanish person, can tell more in details, because I will tell later anecdote in the present how my Christmas, usually my Christmas eves and Christmas dinners are very, very international. It's like I don't really anymore where these habits are from, because it's all mingled, everything.
Okay, well, let's go to Lynn first, and then maybe you can tell us about what you do now, talking about the present. So let's go to Lynn for her past tense anecdote about Christmas.
All right. Well, you'll find out during this class that I'm the traditional person, right? I love traditions. I take a tradition from anywhere and I make it my own, right? So Christmas is all about traditions for me. And I think it comes from when I was a little girl, because in my house, I grew up in Sunderland, which is in the northeast of England. And we had every year the same routine. So we had the same procedure every year. And I just loved it. It gave me so much security as a child, and I think I have always taken it on into the future. So when we were little, my sister and I, on Christmas Eve, which is the day before Christmas, on the 24th, that's called Christmas Eve, we, in the evening, everybody in the family, we had to write our notes for Santa Claus, and we would get our pens and paper, and we had to write a list of all the things, and we had to say that we'd been good girls and everything, but we had to write our list, and then we would put it inside a sock, because you might see at the back I decorated with proper stockings. These are proper stockings, but we used to do it just in a sock. And we used to, my dad used to sellotape them with sellotape to the mantelpiece. The mantelpiece is the shelf above the fire. And we used to sellotape our stockings with our little lists inside. And then we would go to bed. And then, of course, that night we were really, really excited. And then the next morning, we would wake up very early. We would race downstairs, and my parents would be following very quickly afterwards. We didn't ask them, we just ran. And we would run downstairs, we would open the living room, and in the living room, we didn't used to have piles of presents. We had sacks of presents. We had a sack each, and it was a huge sack, like a really big one, like potatoes, 50 kilos of potatoes in a sack. It was a sack, and it was full of our presents, and our presents had come. Santa Claus had brought them, and they were from our aunts and our uncles and our parents, and they were from lots of people, but Santa Claus brought all the presents. And then we would spend all morning opening the presents. And then the boring bit for me as a child was later, because then at lunchtime we would get a visit from my grandparents who would come for lunch, and then everybody would eat this huge lunch, and I wasn't really interested in the food when I was a child. And then in the tea time, more people would come, more aunts and uncles to stay for tea. And then the next day on Christmas Day was Boxing Day. That's called Boxing Day, the 26th. And then we would get more visits from other family members who would stay for lunch. And there was lots of food involved, but I can't remember that very much. But what I do remember is that every time when somebody came to the house, they would sit in the chair, the visitor, and I would sit at their feet with my sack, and I would get out every present and explain to everybody which present it was, what it did, and who it was from, and how lucky I was to get that lovely present. And this procedure, we had several visitors, so it would be 4 times during the day, and I would be emptying my sack and then packing it all back in again.
And did you say you had brothers and sisters?
I had a sister.
You had a sister, so she did the same?
Yeah, she did exactly the same. That was our tradition. We always had to show all of our presents to anybody who came to the house. So I'm sure that for the adults, it was very boring, but I loved it.
We've got some people in the chat speaking a little bit about if you have any traditions that you'd like to share with us from your part of the world, I'll put the link now in the chat room. That's the link you need to follow if you want to join us. For example, Andrea from Colombia says, we bring our gifts on the night of the 24th of December, which, as Lynn said, is Christmas Eve. Katia's here from Costa Rica. Hi, Katia. So if you have anything you want to share, any anecdotes about Christmas, please come in and tell us, but try to use these tenses that we're showing you on the screen. Let's go to the Ghost of Christmas Present. And Monica, tell us an anecdote using these tenses. Well, here we are, Christmas present. That's not present regalo. That's not gift. That's
this is the present tense. I understood that.
No, I'm telling the audience. I'm telling the people what.
No, because it's easy to get confused. No, well, this year is an exception because what I normally do for Christmas, we go to the Netherlands, or otherwise known as Holland, because my husband is Dutch. So
wow.
I have spent many years in the Netherlands, so I know everything about the Dutch Christmas days. It's also
Is there
2 days.
something? Is there something in Holland in Dutch tradition about the shoes, the wooden shoes on Christmas Day? There's some tradition connected to the
perhaps for
clogs.
children, but but it's the St. Nicholas. They have
And they-
St. Nicholas the 5th of December.
Of
And I
December,
remember that I said to my son, okay, I usually say, well, that was the past, but I now say to suppose he's 5 years old. And I said, you are very lucky because you have St. Nicholas, Christmas, and Reyes, and the 3 kings, 3 times 3 presents.
Yep.
Okay, so our tradition. No, what we normally do is we spend there. We have dinner. Usually, it's dinner on Christmas Eve. Is the 24th, and we usually open the presents there. Then, and well, everybody brings presents. We put around the Christmas tree. And the next day in Holland, everything is closed the 25th and the 26th. And the next day is some maybe brunch or brunch. We do some, brunch. And there's a lot to eat, like Lynn said, perhaps too much. and then we go for a walk. Usually we go for a walk, and there's this forest near my parents-in-law. They live near a forest, so we it's very, very freezing, very cold, but it's quite refreshing actually. That you go for a walk, you have hot chocolate. This is what we normally do. And the 26th is again the same. Sometimes you get guests like family members. We go to my husband's aunt. They lived in Congo. Also, everybody has lived somewhere. And they have a special food from Indonesia, because also the Netherlands used to be Indonesia used to be a colony of the Netherlands. So there's a lot of traditions. People that come from Indonesia and Indonesian restaurants. And my mother-in-law is a quarter of Indonesian, so she knows how to cook Indonesian and all that. And we eat. I love it because it's very good food. So we usually have an Indonesian dinner the next day, the 26th, or because they celebrate birthdays and all together. That's what we usually do. So we spend the traditional Dutch Christmas Eve.
What's the traditional in Holland? Do they eat turkey as a traditional Christmas lunch on Christmas Day?
I think it's turkey. Yeah, but turkey, I suppose turkey is very famous all over because it's something that you can share with many people. But it takes a long time to cook, and it's difficult to cook. But in our case, sometimes some years, because my mother-in-law didn't want to cook, sometimes some years we went out, and you can eat anything, any kind of. Now it's becoming more flexible. Like you can eat whatever you like, not a specific. Or we think of a recipe special. My husband likes to cook a lot, so he thinks of a special recipe. So he thinks, we do, we go, all present. You see, the spirit of the present is telling me what to say. Okay.
And Marisol is saying in Argentina they have Christmas Day in summer because it's the southern hemisphere, so they eat hot food and decorate everything with artificial snow.
Yeah, yes, I know.
Yeah,
okay.
And according to Rafa, St. Nicholas lives in Alicante. I did not know that, Rafa.
Some people say that he comes from the Basque country. I also heard that because they also have a tradition. So.
And Marvin's perfect present was a dog. He'd never been so happy when he got a dog for Christmas. It was the perfect day. That's lovely.
That is nice.
And Carlos says the best gift for me is spending time. I would use a gerund there, Carlos. The best gift for me is spending time with my family. Okay. Is it me? So
Yeah, you go
Christmas.
ahead.
Well, I said before when I told the story about the present on my bed in the morning on Christmas morning, that was obviously in the past when I used to live in England. Obviously now I'm in Spain. I live in Valencia, and things have changed a lot. My family live close to Valencia, but not very close, and they celebrate a very traditional English Christmas. However, I married a Spanish lady, and traditions in Spain, as you know, are different from the traditions in the UK. Now, we both love traveling, and very often we travel at this time of year at Christmas. Obviously, this year, because of the pandemic, we're not traveling, but when we can, we like to travel and go away somewhere for Christmas. So very often we spend Christmas abroad. We celebrate Christmas however they're celebrating in whatever country we're visiting at the time, and also New Year. Very often we go away for 10 days or 2 weeks or longer if we can. So we celebrate Christmas abroad, and we don't have traditional Christmas family. Now, we don't have children. My sister doesn't have children, and Christmas is very much, I think, a festival for children. So because we don't have children in the immediate family, we don't celebrate family Christmases together. But that's okay. I'm fine with that. And we really enjoy traveling abroad. We really enjoy going away for Christmas. And we'll speak about the future soon, but hopefully the situation will change and we'll be able to travel again soon. So that's really what we're doing at the moment. We travel, we tend to go away, and we don't celebrate Christmas here with the family.
At all. Wow.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, Lynn.
Right. So I'm the traditions, and I've had a bit of something similar experience to Monica, because my Christmas has become quite globalized. But because I told you earlier that I'm a creature of habit and traditions, unfortunately, I don't adapt and just go to the Dutch tradition. I do all of the traditions that I've actually accumulated over the years. So the thing is, I lived for many years in Germany. My family emigrated to New Zealand, where they also have very hot Christmases with barbecues and artificial snow, like in Argentina. I've been living for the last 20 years here in Spain, and I've discovered the Spanish Christmas. And I am just greedy, and I take all of these traditions on board. So
what does greedy mean?
Greedy means when you can't get enough and you keep eating more and more and more. That's greedy. Well, I'm very greedy for traditions. And so my Christmas now lasts forever, because it starts in December. Well, it actually now starts in November, because I write my Christmas cards in November usually, and I have them all in the post. Every year I send about 65 Christmas cards
Wow.
to my friends and family all around the world. I only write to them now once a year, and it's usually at Christmas. So I have to, because I have 65 cards to write, I have to start now in November. So I start writing in November. Then in Germany, just like Monica said, in Holland, they celebrate also Nikolaus, that comes on the 6th of December. And then that's in Germany, that's when they start getting into the Christmas spirit. And when I lived in Germany, I learned how to make Christmas biscuits. Here is a Christmas biscuit. That's a little boot. This is a shooting star. And so when after the Christmas cards get put in the post, then my husband gets quite cross, because he says, oh no, not again. Then I disappear into the kitchen and I start baking Christmas biscuits, because I give them as presents to people. So I spend about 2 weeks of December making Christmas biscuits. Then we come to, I've incorporated Spanish Christmas. And this means that Christmas goes on forever, because now we don't celebrate in my house. We don't celebrate Santa Claus anymore, because otherwise it's too much. So now we have a Spanish Christmas Eve, which is a meal with the extended family, which is quite fun. And then we have Christmas Day, which is another meal, but no presents. Then we go on to New Year's Eve, which is another big family event, and possibly a little bit of dancing, a little bit of party. And then New Year's Day, which is another big meal. But on New Year's Day with my Spanish family, because there's quite a lot of us, there's about 16 of us, we usually then do something called Amigo Invisible, which I think is called Secret Santa. We usually do that on New Year's Day. So we all get one present. We have different partners, and you have a secret person you give a present to. And then, of course, the Three Kings are coming. And because I love traditions, we still carry on those traditions from England. So on the eve of the Three Kings coming on the 5th of December, me and my husband, because no letter, no presents. So my daughters, my husband and I, we all have to write our letter to the Three Kings. And then when we have written our letter to the Three Kings, we prepare a tray, and I have a bottle of sherry and 3 glasses of sherry for the Three Kings, and a bucket of water for the camels. And then we put all of that outside the front door, and then we go to bed very, very excited. And then the next morning, the Three Kings come, and we still have, imagine, the Three Kings bring to my house a sack of presents for my daughters. Unfortunately, I only get a little bag now of presents, just a small bag. But if you come to have food with me on the Three Kings Day, you will have to sit in this seat, and then I will explain to you every single present that I have received and show you it.
You still do that today?
I still do that today.
Can I ask you something? So for the Three Kings, does the sherry go outside with the water for the camel? And is the sherry still there in the morning?
Absolutely.
Or does somebody drunk it?
Of course, the Three Kings have drunk it. Great.
The Three Kings have drunk it.
Who
I
else
just wanted to clarify that the sherry is missing.
We pour them a glass each. And we also put out a little chocolate, a Ferrero Rocher, because they're my favorite chocolates, right? So we put out a Ferrero Rocher. And the next morning,
it's gone.
The papers are there. The glasses are empty.
No sherry.
No sherry. No. Occasionally, but not in recent years, but occasionally in the past. Do you know the camels left little lumps of sand on the steps outside?
I thought you were going to say something else. Little lumps of sand.
No. Like they sand, because of course the Three Kings come across the desert with the camels, and sometimes they don't wipe their feet before they come in the house. And they've left little piles of sand. If they leave piles of anything else, Craig, I'm sure it's at your door, because you're not there, and you haven't left them wine, sherry, or chocolate. You've gone off on holiday.
Where I live in Valencia, there's always lumps of things outside, but it's usually the dogs that leave it, not the camels, and that's all through the year. Some comments.
You don't have the Christmas spirit. You have to say that they're camels.
They're camels. Okay,
they're dogs. Did you say that they were camels? And that's it.
They're very small. They're very small camels. We've got some comments coming in. Rothiel says we usually wear red clothes on Christmas Eve and white clothing in New Year. Where do you live, Rothiel? Where is that a custom? That's not a custom in Spain, I don't think, but it's a lovely idea. Of course, red is the classic color of Santa Claus because of Coca-Cola. They use red to market Santa Claus. He used to wear green, and the red is from Coca-Cola. Yes.
Really? Oh wow.
And from Marvin, in Peru, we spend maybe that's Boxing Day, Marvin. Be careful of these expressions. They're quite confusing. The 25th, as Lynn said, is Christmas Day. The 24th of December, the day before Christmas, Christmas Eve, E-V-E, like evening. So just think of the eve before Christmas. That's Christmas Eve. And the 26th of December, that's Boxing Day. That's the day after Christmas. And from Andrea, we have a traditional prayer around the pesebre. What's that, Monica?
Oh,
The
Manger.
pesebre.
What is
manger.
the
Manger.
manger?
Mhm.
For 9 nights. It would
9
start
nights.
today. People share food, I'm assuming, not cars.
Yeah,
but
food.
Food,
Yeah.
food
Yeah.
as custard and
Yeah.
cheese fritters. Lovely.
Mhm.
And sing Christmas
fun.
carols.
So-
And Adriana, sorry, Lynn, go ahead.
Sorry, no, I was thinking about the 9 days before Christmas. It's these traditions that start before Christmas. And I actually, in Germany, I learned how to do this. And they make like a decoration with 4 candles.
Yes.
And each Sunday before Christmas, you light a new candle. So at the moment, I've got 3 candles on.
Yeah, I have the
And
same
then
thing.
You
I
have the
have the
same.
same,
So
yeah.
there you are.
This
Mhm.
is Catholic also.
Is that a
Christian-
Catholic custom?
Well,
is
it's
it?
Catholic and it's Christian. Christian
It's
Catholic.
a Christian
yeah.
custom. In England, we
Yeah.
never had that, or I
No,
didn't.
it's the
My
Advent
family
bread.
never did it.
Advent,
But in
Advent bread. It's preparing for the coming of Jesus.
of Christmas.
Adriana says, when I was a little girl, my mum always put chunks of cotton and candles on the tree. And I turned on the candles and, oh my God, there was a fire. So we got rid of to get rid of his deshacerse, to get rid of the tree.
Yeah.
Probably a good idea, Adriana, if the tree was causing a fire.
Yeah.
Alberto says that he heard in Holland there are public acts or maybe public customs connected with Spain when the Spaniards used to rule in Holland.
Well, that was a long time ago. I am old, but not that old.
Christine.
The Spanish used to rule Holland. This is we're talking about the 16th century or something like that. No,
Christine used a really nice expression.
Yes.
She said, "I really relish the idea. I treasure the idea. To relish something is to treasure the idea of decorating the tree and putting up as much Christmassy decoration at home as I can." You sound very similar to Lynn in that respect.
Yeah.
I wanted to I have a big Christmas tree, and I did want to bring it into my office. My office normally is not decorated, but my house is. But it was too big and I couldn't get it through the door. So that's why I just put this instead. But I'm like Christina. Yeah, I love Christmas and decorations and everything.
Okay, shall we move to the future?
Mm-hmm.
That's everybody, isn't it? Let's go to the future now and speak about the ghost of Christmas yet to come. So we're going to speak about the future now using probably, hopefully, the future simple, future continuous. There are some future tenses, but really we use a lot of expressions and some verbs and other pieces of language to talk about the future. So we'll see what we can use to speak about the future. Monica, over to you. What's the ghost of your Christmas yet to come?
My Christmas yet to come. It says something like, "We hope we go now nowhere but up." But that's in the present, not in the future right now, because this year I call it the shit year. So has been so horrible.
Yeah.
So I hope in the future we can travel again. I can go back to Holland and or visit other countries. So I don't know how to put it, because I didn't really think of anything in the future. For me, it's quite difficult. I was telling them before the show that I cannot even think of tomorrow because the things, and then I'm a little bit traumatized because I think whenever I think too much or wish too much of something, maybe it doesn't come true. So I don't want to say it. Like it's just a wish. Yeah, I wish everybody. I wish we all have a better situation for next year, and the next Christmas is much better than this Christmas, which is not so difficult because as soon as you can travel or see your family and not have the COVID, it's going to be better. But I wanted to think of sentences or the use of present continuous and all that, and I have a problem because present continuous, for example.
You mean future continuous?
No, present continuous,
Present continuous.
With a future reference can be used for a planned future. And in English it's used like that, or the going to, no? With a.
But it's difficult to make plans, isn't it?
Exactly. I was going to say that.
Yeah.
I cannot use it because I don't have any plans, so I cannot use it. I can use and the will for the instant decision. Okay, I will go there, no, but that's just not possible now. So they say in the conditional, with would, I would, well, it's a conditional, not really future, no. It's more. I think the Christmas spirit of the future has become the conditional Christmas spirit, not the future.
Yeah, I think that's the problem. It's so difficult to make plans and so difficult to think of things that that we're going to be doing in the future. I mean, I suppose we're really using verbs like I hope and I wish. What I did. That that this time next year we'll have found a safe way to travel, because as I mentioned before, my passion is traveling. So I hope that by next summer, and we often use that preposition, by the time, or by next summer, or by next July, for example, we'll have found a virus to protect us from the pandemic. I hope that we'll have
vaccine.
A vaccine. Sorry, not virus. A vaccine. No, not a vaccine.
It's just strange. Craig wants another virus to fight this virus. This is so strange.
Thank you for correcting me. I hope that we'll have found, so future perfect, we will have found a vaccine to protect us against the virus. I hope we'll have found a safe way to travel by next summer. And with a safe vaccine and a good airline, a safe airline and safety measures, I hope we'll be traveling again. So there's future continuous. I hope we'll be traveling again this time next year. And I hope to be flying somewhere interesting and celebrating Christmas in a different country this time next year. I'd love to visit Colombia. I've never been to Colombia. I know there's some Colombians watching. I've never been to Mexico. I know there's people from Mexico watching. I'd love to go visit those countries. I'd like to go to Canada, Alaska, back to Asia, maybe Cambodia or Laos, and just to keep traveling. So I hope this time next year I'll be somewhere else celebrating Christmas. Lynn.
Well, you know what I'm going to say, don't you? Because I'm
tradition,
person, right? Tradition. So in 10 years' time, I'm projecting to 10 years' time, right? I expect I'll still be cooking. I expect I'll still be cooking my Christmas biscuits. Maybe I'll be writing my cards in October because I'll be having so many traditions that I need all year to do them. So I think that I hope in 10 years' time, I'll still be doing some of the things that I do now, maybe some new things too. I hope I'll have grandchildren because it's, as you said earlier, Craig, it is fun to see kids at Christmas.
Yeah.
And my family now are growing up very fast. And maybe 10, 15 years, I hope I'll have some grandchildren, because I think Christmas is really, really fun when you've got kids around. So that's good too. Mm-hmm. But even if I don't, if I don't have grandkids, I think even in a situation, your life changes, your family moves away, and then maybe it won't always be possible to have the kind of Christmases that I have right now. But I think for me, because I'm so I just love these like ideas, you know, like romantic ideas. I can imagine that even if I haven't got anybody to celebrate Christmas with, I would actually go out there and find people to celebrate Christmas. Find people to eat my Christmas biscuits and make my neighbors, or I'd be a volunteer in any kind of like, maybe, you know, there are places where people need cheering up. You know, there are people in sort of institutions or in hospitals, and I really think that if I was on my own, I would probably try to find a way to go to places like that, because it's just that I have a great time with all of that, you know. So I'd be making people write lists to the Three Kings, and I would be making sure that everybody has the sherry outside
and making them biscuits, and making them biscuits.
Yes. I wouldn't like to be on my own in the future for Christmas, so I'll have to find people.
It's lovely. It's lovely that you've still got that excitement and joy about Christmas, and you haven't been affected by the commercialization of everything.
Well, I think that's the trick. You see, it's not really about. I mean, I'm going to sound like the Christmas
fairy.
Christmas fairy. No, but Christmas is about. I don't know. I think it's about some kind of like dreaming. You know, you kind of at the end of the year, you dream for a better future. I'm not very sad at the moment. I know that COVID and the pandemic is problematic, and for many people it's really, really difficult at the moment. I understand that very much, but you know, I'm a very optimistic person, so I have lots of hope for the future, and I hope that, and when a year comes to the end, I try to create lots of hope for the year to come. So that's the way I look at life. Yeah. But you are right, Monica. I envy you when you say, sometimes when you say you don't plan in the future, you stay in the present. That's very healthy. People say it's good to live in the present. Yeah. And sometimes because I'm a person of tradition and I'm a very optimistic, I tend to live a lot in the past and in the future more than in the present.
Yeah. That's true.
So,
well, they say that true happiness is to be found in the present, because if you think a lot about the past, maybe you regret things or you get sad because of memories. And if you spend a lot of time worrying and thinking about the future, that makes you unhappy. But the secret of happiness is enjoying the moment now and being in the moment. That's very, very true, I think.
I've seen some people on the chat are celebrating Christmas alone, probably because they can't get with their family.
There was someone, Carlos Tobar.
So I'm going to give you a tip. On Christmas Eve or the Eve of the Three Kings, prepare your tray with your sherry and your Ferrero Rocher and your bucket of water for the camels or the reindeer, and you'll have fun. You know, it's fun. But you have to make.
I don't know, Carlos. I don't know if he's from Spain. I think Carlos, are you from Spain? Because he might be from another country where there are no Three Kings. Because in South America is Santa Claus, really.
Yeah,
but you can leave it for the reindeers. You can also leave the cherries for Santa Claus and the reindeer.
And you can also always leave 3 sherries for Craig, Monica, and Lynn. And just pray very, very heartily, and we'll be with you in spirit, won't we?
Or maybe a whiskey for me. Emma's saying she no longer puts the tree out. She doesn't put the Christmas tree up. I would say to put up the tree. Use the phrase verb to put up the tree, because her daughter's engaged. Yeah, Christmas is, as we said, very much for children, isn't it? Rafa is talking about the Jewish festival. It's called Hanukkah. Hanukkah is the festival, Rafa, and the menorah is the candlestick where the 8 candles sit. That's called the menorah, or the candelabra. Yeah, that's the candelabra. And Christine says, by the end of the year, I'll be making a new list of resolutions. New Year's resolutions. Very good use of that time expression, by the end of the year, and future continuous. I'll be making. Well done, Christine. I always make New Year's resolutions, and they tend to last to the middle of January. But I do it every year. Every year I get
And
very
then-
excited to make my resolutions, to turn a new page, to start something new. And it doesn't usually last until the end of January, sadly, which is a shame. Yeah, Rafa, I think you asked us about the pronunciation of wood last week or 2 weeks ago. Wood, you have to put your lips like that. Wood, wood. Some Spanish speakers, it comes from the throat. It sounds like a g, but it's only from the lips, only from the mouth. Wood, the same pronunciation as madera in English. Wood. Any other
Okay.
comments?
Wood.
There's a lot of country
Are you
crossing.
going to Argentina?
Hema likes Ferrero Rocher also. Okay. Before we go, if you'd like to come in and tell a Christmas anecdote about the past, the present, or the future, we'd love to hear you. I'll put the link again in the chat room. There it is. So you can come and say hi and practice your English for a while. But before we go, and while you're maybe trying to join us and coming in to say hello, this is a Christmas cracker. And it's traditionally pulled every year on Christmas Day like this. And it makes a bang. And then inside the cracker, traditionally there's a hat that I'm not going to wear because I have one already. A little toy, and this is a yo-yo, and a Christmas joke. And we have 3 Christmas jokes to tell you. Now, they're usually quite bad, aren't they, these Christmas jokes that you find in Christmas crackers?
I think we have to warn you all that Christmas cracker jokes are not funny. It's funny because they are so not funny, isn't it, Craig?
Yes, you don't laugh, ha ha ha. You groan, G-R-O-A-N. A groan is because they are very, very bad. So, ladies, who's going first? Should we start with Monica?
Well, I think I'm going to be the worst one. My joke is very bad. Okay, which Christmas film was 30 years ahead of its time? Which Christmas film was 30 years ahead of its time?
Is this connected to the pandemic?
Yes. Yeah. Perhaps I have to explain because all these jokes are connected to things that happen in the UK or to the pandemic. So it's difficult to get them because you have to know a little bit the background. You have to have some background. And so in this case, which Christmas film was 30 years ahead of its time? Home Alone. Home Alone. Does anybody remember this?
Macaulay Culkin. What was his name? The boy, Macaulay Culkin.
Yes, it's a very difficult last name. Home Alone, because I remember I saw that film and I enjoyed it because he was left alone. The family forgot him. Just decided to go on a trip for Christmas, and the poor boy had to live alone in this house, and there were some burglars that came in. They broke in the house, and he was very nice guy, and it was a very nice film, I thought. So this is Home Alone. It was ahead. It's nothing worse than a joke that you have to explain.
No, I probably have.
This happens at Christmas tables everywhere. That when the people are pulling the cracker jokes and they read them aloud, there is always somebody at the table who says, "I don't understand."
I thought I was the only one because I was.
No, you're not. You're in.
I thought, why is this funny? It's not funny at all.
Or we'd use the verb to get. We'd say, "I don't get it. I don't get it." The joke. If you get the joke, you understand why it's funny. I'll probably have to explain this one to you as well. Did you hear that production was down at Santa's workshop? Obviously, Santa makes all the presents, especially for Lynn and her family. He makes the toys and he makes the things that we give as presents. And he has people working in his factory. So why do you think that production was down or was lower this year in Santa's workshop? Well, the reason is a lot of his workers had to elf isolate. Now, now we talk about self-isolating. This is where it stops being funny. We speak about self-isolating when we're on our own, but an elf is in Spanish elfo or duende.
Yeah.
Or trasgo. It also says in my dictionary.
No,
magical creature. No, it's not true. It's not trasgo.
No, I never heard that. Elfo o duende, yeah.
Elfo, okay. A spirit, a magical creature is an elf. So his helpers had to elf isolate.
Because the elves are the helpers of Santa Claus. They have pointy ears, little pointy ears. Yeah, their ears are pointed.
The interesting thing about elf is that the plural is irregular. So you have elves with a V, like wife and wives, and knife and knives, and wolf and wolves, and shelf and shelves. Shelves. Okay, next, Lynn.
Right, well.
Yours. That's grown.
Mine can't get worse, can it? Can it get worse? Right. My joke is, have you got the banner? Why are Santa's reindeer, these are reindeer, these are the ones that carry the sleigh, no, with all the presents on. Why are Santa's reindeer allowed to travel on Christmas Eve? Now, of course, in this time of the pandemic, many countries are not allowing us to travel on Christmas Eve. So why is it that Santa's reindeers are exceptions? Why are they allowed to travel on Christmas Eve? The answer? I hope you've got the answer written down. Have you got the answer on a banner? They have herd immunity. Now,
but that's not the past of to hear, is it?
No.
Herd,
now,
no.
The reindeer, when there is a group of reindeer, they are called a herd of reindeer. We also use the word herd for sheep, a herd of sheep or a herd of goats. That's a big group of animals. So, and everybody now with the pandemic is talking about this new concept of herd immunity. And that concept is that if the majority of us catch COVID-19, that then we will be immune. So instead of waiting for a vaccine, we just have to wait long enough and eventually we will have herd immunity. We will become resistant to COVID-19. So a very bad joke. I'm sorry. But I see that Merche has got a better joke than ours. Can you put Merche's joke? No. Well done, Merche.
What do you use to drain the carrots at Christmas? An Advent colander. Colander is what you with holes, isn't it? That you use to drain vegetables in the kitchen. That's very good, Merche. I like that one.
Instead of calendar.
Speaking of reindeer, Lynn, which reindeer have the shortest legs?
No idea.
This is from the Christmas cracker I just opened.
Oh, you just pulled up. Okay.
Which reindeer have the shortest
this is
legs?
A riddle.
The smallest ones.
That's the answer?
It's terrible.
There's the answer. Well,
Rafa has just said English mood, lol. You're quite right, Rafa. Honestly, sometimes we are not funny.
not funny. And there's another one here. Knock, knock. It's a knock, knock joke. So I have to go knock, knock. And you say...
Knock, knock. Who's there?
Mary.
Mary who?
Merry Christmas. We need to say Merry Christmas to everybody And we're going to wish you all a happy new year and a very Merry Christmas. And let's all hope for a much better 2021 next year. We're going to take a break over Christmas because Monica has to eat some Indonesian and Dutch food. Lynn has to have a very traditional Christmas with her family. So we're going to have a break until January. So probably around about the second week of January, we'll put a notice on Twitter and on Facebook to do this again with you. So we'll just say goodbye and wish you a very Merry Christmas wherever you are in the world. My name's Craig from, where are we? Mansioningles.com, where we have free courses and lots of material for you to improve your English during Christmas. And also we will be continuing every Sunday with our podcast. So please listen to that at inglespodcast.com. Lynn.
Okay, I'm Lynn, and I wish you all a very Merry Christmas too. And I hope you have lots of nice ideas. That's the nice thing. Lots of nice ideas and lots of luck and good health in the new year. And my company is putitlikethis.com. I offer online teaching, tailor-made courses for people with specific objectives. You can go to my webpage and check it all out. But I'm taking holiday over Christmas because I'm so busy because I've got to make Christmas biscuits, write Christmas lists, wrap presents, unwrap presents. And then I have to spend 2 weeks telling everybody about the presents that I got. Maybe that could be the first episode of the new year.
Or no, maybe the worst Christmas present we've ever received. Maybe that could be that could be a subject for next time.
Okay.
Monica.
My name is Monica. I'm from El Blog para Aprender Inglés and El Blog del Inglés. There's a new blog, and there are tons of materials you can read in Spanish because in case you don't understand a concept, you can read it in Spanish, all the explanation. Even these videos, I put all the posts, I write the posts later in Spanish so that you can understand what we said, at least the main concepts. And well, I wish you a very Merry Christmas to all of you and a much better 2021. And I'm also taking some days off though to stay home.
You're not going to Holland?
No wonder I'm not going to Holland. It's not possible because it's risky and I don't have really a reason other than visit the family. No? So that's it. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you, Lynn. Thank you, Monica. Thank you to everyone who's been with us celebrating in the chat room. Please have a lovely Christmas. Stay safe. And if you're watching the replay, thank you for your time and keep studying English during Christmas. And we'll see you again next year.
Okay. Bye-bye.
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 Merry Christmas.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.